At the 2006 World Poker Tour 5-Diamond World Poker Classic, Justin Bonomo burst onto the live poker scene by making 3 final tables during the preliminary events. He also finished on the televised final table bubble in 7th place during the championship tournament. Bonomo's live tournament success continued to the 2007 World Series of Poker, and he finished 4th in the $2,000 buy-in no-limit event. His largest cash to date came at the 2007 Caesars Palace Classic. Bonomo received almost $164,000 for finishing 5th. Altogether, Bonomo has accumulated more than $1.4 million in tournament earnings. Today, we have him here in the Card Player TV studio for the first edition of our newest show, Calling Station.
Hi, welcome to the Calling Station. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Derek.
Hey, how's it going, Derek?
Pretty good. I'm calling to see if you have any advice for changing your play depending on whether the tournament has antes or not.
Yeah, I actually wrote a pretty long article on that. And you should definitely adjust your play. For the most part, there's basically more money in the pot, so each pot becomes more important to win. But one thing that I've noticed in live tournaments is that players actually adjust opposite of the way they should. What happens is players tighten up during the later stages because, there's more money on the line, they're closer to the money. So if that's happening, you should definitely take advantage of that. Realize that there's more money in each pot, so you should steal more pots. You just show a bigger profit when you do.
All right. That's all that I had. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thanks for calling. Hello, who's on the line?
This is Scott from Chicago.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Good, how are you?
Great.
I just had a question about coming up from the smaller stakes. When you hear about online pros talking about their game, they seem to say, when I jumped up from the small stakes of 5-10 no limit to the larger stakes, and then I ran bad. I had to jump back down to the small stakes. It seems like they skip how they moved up from the micro stakes. So I don't know if you specifically just jumped right into the bigger games or what you did to specifically build your bankroll.
Personally, I've always been really conservative with bankroll management. I only started with a few $100s when I first started, and I played 50 cent a dollar limit hold'em. And I grinded that for a couple of months. I moved up to 1-2, grinded that for a couple of months. And then a little bit of 2-4 and 3-6. And for me, it was a really slow progression. I was lucky that I was conservative enough with my bankroll that I never took a huge hit that I really had to move back down, but I definitely grinded up through all the stakes.
Do you recommend that it's better to play multiple smaller games or focus on 1 or 2 bigger games?
I think that depends on the person. Personally, I've been playing video games since I was like 6 years old, so multitasking, is just second nature to me. So pretty early, I started with just playing 1 table at a time, obviously, but pretty quickly I moved up to 4 tables and then 6 tables, and that worked out great for me. But other players, they find that they don't learn as quickly when they're playing many tables, or some struggle to multitask like that. And so playing just 1 or 2 tables is fine if that's what works for you.
Okay, and then one last question. Do you find that this day and age with the games getting tougher and tougher, that it's impossible to really make a good living online without using sites such as Poker Tracker and software tools such as those?
I was kind of raised off of Poker Tracker, so I've kind of come to rely on it, to be honest. Although, obviously I, played without it sometimes. You can still learn the game without it, and it's not something you should need to have, but definitely helps.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks for calling.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Hey, you're on the Calling Station. Who's calling?
Hi, my name's Alex.
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Hey, good. How are you today?
Great, thanks.
I had a question for you. More and more people are talking about that PLO is the game of the future, but you don't really see it that much in tournaments. Do you think it's mostly going to be played in cash, and do you think that No Limit will always be the tournament game?
I wouldn't say that No Limit will always be the only tournament game, but it is, how poker, became so popular on TV, so it will always have a place in the viewer's heart. PLO specifically is a pretty bad tournament game, just because there's so much luck with the all-ins. That it's much better played in the cash game setting where, you can reload if you get unlucky, or in some casinos you can run it twice to kind of reduce the variance.
So, because I know some tournaments have maybe one event in all of them, but you don't ever think they might be like a deep stack PLO event or anything like that?
Even a deep stack PLO event wouldn't really reduce the luck factor that much, just because there's so many hands that you're willing to just keep raising and re-raising with that, even if the stacks are twice as deep, you're still going to get the chips all in. Not exactly as often, but still close to as often.
So you don't think PLO really is going to catch on anywhere except for maybe the high stakes games?
The reason why it's really catching on in high stakes games is because there have just been so many specialists, so many guys that nobody wants to play Limit Hold'em with because they're so good, so many guys that nobody wants to play No Limit with because they're so good. And PLO is just a newer game that, no one's really mastered it yet, and people are still working on that. But also, since there's so much luck in the game, the amateur players that are still learning the game actually have a better chance of winning.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Cool, thanks for calling.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling. What's your name?
My name's Whitney.
Hey, how's it going, Whitney?
It's going really good. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Good. I have a question for you. I'm 20 years old now, and I've started to play online, and I'm looking forward to turning 21 in a few months, and I was wondering how you transitioned from online play to live play.
The big thing is don't change your game that much. There's really not that much that's different. Are you a cash game player or a tournament player?
A tournament.
Okay, the one big difference is in some tournaments the stack sizes will be a lot deeper, so there's a lot more play after the flop. In terms of adjusting to actual live play, just basically don't be stupid. Don't, in terms of giving away tells, don't talk unless you have to. Just, try to, when you grab your chips, try to grab them the same way each hand. Just don't give away anything. And in terms of picking up tells, it's just something that happens naturally over time. Was there something specific you were concerned with?
Awesome. That's all the questions I had.
Okay, cool. Thanks for calling.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, who's calling?
Hello?
Yeah, hi. What's your name?
Hey, Justin, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad, man. I just had a quick question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Well, I play a lot of tournaments, and I think I do pretty well in the early stages, accumulating chips. I play a pretty aggressive game, and I seem to accumulate really well, and then later in the stages in the tournament, it always seems to come back and haunt me, and I can never get anybody to lay down, and people are always playing back at me, so I try to pick my spots, and I just seem to get played back at too much, and I just kind of falter towards the later stages. I was just wondering if you had any kind of advice for that kind of play.
It's a little bit hard to answer without knowing exactly how you play, but there's at least two different things that I could see happening. One, if you're accumulating a lot of those chips by stealing and being really aggressive, over time the players are going to pick up on that and they're going to want to play back at you. Another thing that happens a lot is the players just get better during later stages of the tournaments, and they realize that, with shorter stacks, a hand like Ace-Jack is one they're going to be all in with. So it's a lot harder to push people around when they have short stacks that they're just willing to go all in with.
Yeah, that makes sense too, because it just seems like, I'm really not afraid early, especially because I kind of got a good feel for the small ball approach early, just making a lot of small raises and continuation bets, and people don't really want to get involved early, it seems like. And then later on, it's hard to play that same kind of small ball approach, where I'm raising very frequently, in late position and even in middle position with weak hands, and it just seems it just doesn't work. The weak bet, when I make that standard raise and I keep making it, people start playing back at me, and I'm losing too much.
Yeah, one thing that happens is the small ball style is a lot about post-flop play and a lot of small bets on the flop and checking on the turn and making small bets on the river, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
in the later stages of the tournaments, when the average stack is 10 big blinds, there's just really not enough play left to make that strategy work.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well that definitely helps a lot. Yeah, I've been kind of wondering about that and wondering if I could get in and get that question in somewhere. So.
Okay, great. I'm glad I helped.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you. Hi, you're on the calling station. Who's calling?
Hi, my name's Todd.
How's it going, Todd?
It's going all right. How you doing?
Great.
Awesome. So is this Justin?
Yeah.
Hi, Justin. How are you?
Great. So you got a question for me?
I do. I have an issue. I get deep in a lot of tournaments, and I get big hands, and I push, thinking that that's the right thing to do, and it constantly, without fail, backfires. And I was wondering, am I just, do I always want that call? Like, I mean, I had pocket kings. I get called with ace-7, and I know that I want that call every time. I think I do, but when I get snapped off with ace-7 on the flop, then I don't want the call. I'm confused, because every time it seems that I get deep in a tournament and I get a big pair and I push. So I guess my question is, should I try playing it more conservatively?
Definitely not. I mean, it's really hard to find a better spot than getting kings all in versus ace-7. I mean, you can't just be 100% favorite all the time. And, you're still going to lose that 30% of the time, but that's really the best you can hope for. And, you might just have a couple of weeks where you seem to keep losing them, but, eventually it turns around, and eventually you'll keep winning those and you'll win a tournament.
Really? So you wouldn't change the approach at all? You just keep the aggressive play when you have the goods?
Yeah, I mean, if you're constantly getting your money in as a favorite, there's really not much more that you can do to your game. It's pretty much the best case scenario.
That's awesome. That's great news, because I feel like I question my play all the time, and I'm like, man, I think I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm getting my money in there with the best hand in the beginning, and so I've often thought that I was doing the right thing, but you just clarified that for me, and thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Sounds like you're doing everything right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks for calling.
Yep. Have a great day.
I guess let's wrap up this show. I'd like to thank Card Player for having me hosting the first episode ever of The Calling Station and all the callers. If you'd like to find out more about me, my name's Justin Bonomo. Please go to justinbonomo.com. Working on some big projects, including another strategy show with Daniel Negreanu, so you'll find all the information you need at justinbonomo.com. I'd also like to thank my sponsor, Bodog. Play poker for free at bodoglife.net.